They promised a soft landing, a gentle dip, just a return to normal. But let's be honest, that was never true. Right now, the American dream is bleeding out. For millions, the home you saved and sacrificed for is becoming a financial trap, locking you into negative equity. This isn't a minor correction. In some markets, we're staring down the barrel of a 70 to 80% crash in home values. And this isn't fear-mongering, it's math. U.S. household debt just hit a record-breaking $18.39 trillion, with mortgages accounting for 70% of that. This isn't 2008. It's not just about bad loans. It's a layered collapse. Insurance markets failing, water supplies vanishing, and entire downtowns hollowed out by commercial real estate chaos. So today, we're taking you on a road trip into the heart of the crisis. 10 U.S. cities already in freefall as the 2025 housing crash explodes. And the city at number 1? Let's just say it's a sun-drenched paradise where the "for sale" signs are rising faster than the sea level. This isn't a countdown, it's a warning, a survival map. If you're here for raw, unfiltered truth, hit that like button and subscribe. You'll want to be ready for what's coming next. Let's hit the road. Number 10, Las Vegas, Nevada. We're kicking things off in Sin City, a glittering illusion in the desert where neon lights hide the cracks and every gamble feels like a win, until it's not. Vegas has always been a monument to fast money and fleeting dreams, but right now, the cracks are widening. And fast. The housing market here isn't just cooling, it's falling off a cliff. Inventory has shot up a jaw-dropping 77.6% compared to last year. That's not a soft pullback, that's a signal flare. It's not a correction, it's an exodus. The median home price? Stuck around $465,000, flatlining year over year. But don't let that fool you. Sellers are clinging to old expectations, refusing to face the new reality. Homes are now sitting on the market for an average of 58 days, a massive jump from last year's pace. And nearly 1 in 4 listings in the city have already slashed their asking prices. That's not market confidence, that's desperation. So what's dragging Vegas down? One word: volatility. This is a city that thrives on disposable income, on conventions, concerts, bachelor parties, and weekend getaways. When the economy gets shaky, those luxuries are the first to go. And when the tourists stop spending, the local economy takes the hit. The service industry, the backbone of Vegas, is feeling it hard. The unemployment rate here has been stuck between 5.5% and 6%, making it one of the worst job markets among major metros in the country. Now think about the people behind the curtain: the bartender, the dealer, the Uber driver. Many of them bought homes during the boom, convinced the good times would last forever. Now, their hours are slashed, their tips are gone. And for some, the only thing arriving on time is the foreclosure notice. Nevada already ranks near the top for foreclosure rates nationwide, and Las Vegas sits at number 3 among all major U.S. cities. That's not just concerning, it's a red alert. Here's something that puts it all into perspective. Clark County has over 150,000 hotel rooms. That's more than some entire cities. And it's a blinking reminder that this economy was built for tourists, not residents. For passing visitors, not long-term stability. In Vegas, the house always wins. But let's be clear, you're not the house. Las Vegas stands as a warning. Any city too dependent on one industry, especially one fueled by discretionary spending, is walking on a tightrope. So, what about where you live? Are you seeing similar fault lines in your local economy? Drop a comment below. I want to hear your story. Number 9, Denver, Colorado. From the scorched deserts of Vegas, we climb into the crisp mountain air of Denver, once hailed as the ultimate destination for the work-from-anywhere dream. But that dream? It's unraveling fast. And for many, it's turning into a debt-fueled disaster. The numbers speak volumes. Denver's median home sale price has dipped to $575,000, down 1.7% from last year. Not a massive plunge, but that's just scratching the surface. What's really telling is the inventory, up an eye-popping 71% year over year. That's not growth, that's oversupply. Properties are now sitting on the market for an average of 66 days, giving buyers all the leverage and leaving sellers in a panic. More than half of all homes sold are closing for less than asking. That's not a strong market, That's a standoff. So what's dragging Denver down? It's not one villain. It's a double knockout punch. Punch 1. The remote work surge has fizzled. The tech and finance crowd that once poured in from the coasts, sending home prices skyrocketing, are being pulled back to headquarters in San Francisco, New York, or worse, handed a pink slip. Punch 2. Property taxes. And this one's a silent killer. After years of artificially low rates and temporary discounts, new 2025 assessments are kicking in, sending tax bills soaring by hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars overnight. Picture this. Someone snagged a modest $800,000 bungalow in 2022, barely affording the payments even then. Fast forward to today. His job wants him back in office, 3 states away, and now his property tax bill has doubled. He can't afford to stay, and he can't afford to sell. That's not a homeowner. That's a hostage. Here's a weirdly on-brand Denver stat. The city has more marijuana dispensaries than Starbucks and McDonald's combined. Maybe it makes sense. People needed something to take the edge off after signing those mortgage papers. They used to call it the Mile High City. But if things keep trending this way, Mile Deep Crater might be more accurate. Here's the bigger issue. Exploding property taxes are like a financial cancer. Slow, silent, and devastating. And it's not just Denver. So I'm curious. Are you seeing surprise tax hikes where you live? Share the biggest jump you've seen in the comments. Let's compare storm fronts. Number 8, Boise, Idaho. Next stop, Boise. Once the golden child of the pandemic housing surge, and now, a brutal cautionary tale. For a while, Boise wasn't just a city, it became a verb. People were boising their homes, cashing out big from high-cost cities and moving to Idaho with fat pockets and sky-high expectations. Fast forward to now, and it's taken a dark turn. Because Boise is also starting to mean getting financially wrecked. Home price growth has crashed down to just 4% year over year, a massive come-down from the staggering 41.3% spike in 2021. That's not a gentle landing. That's slamming into a brick wall at full speed. Panic is spreading. In some corners of the metro area, inventory has ballooned by as much as 120% as remote workers race for the exits. The median home price in Ada County is floating around $530,000, but don't be fooled. That number's a mirage. Nearly 30% of all listings have had price cuts, and in some neighboring areas, that number jumps to 36%. That's not healthy market behavior. That's a sell-off. What caused it? The Great Remote Work Reversal. During the boom, hundreds of tech employees bailed on places like San Francisco, waving goodbye to sky-high rents and dropping all-cash offers well above asking in Boise, thinking they had gamed the system. But now, the system is calling them back. Their Bay Area salaries are gone. Their remote privileges are revoked. And they're stuck with massive mortgages in Idaho, far from their jobs and even further from a way out. Even worse, the local price-to-income ratio is completely broken. To comfortably afford a median-priced home in Ada County, you'd need to make around $150,000 a year. But the actual median household income here is just under $89,000. That gap isn't just unsustainable, it's catastrophic. Locals can't afford to buy. And the transplants? They're scrambling to sell. It's a housing death spiral. Here's your quirky Boise fact. That iconic blue turf at Boise State's football stadium? Totally artificial. Just like the housing boom that turned this quiet city into a national meme. For a while, Boise was seen as a real estate cheat code. Now, it's a red flag. And Boise wasn't alone. These so-called Zoom towns popped up everywhere during the remote work era. But now, they're starting to pop, one by one. So tell me, did your town see a flood of out-of-state buyers during the boom? Did it feel like prices went crazy overnight? Drop your story in the comments. I want to hear how your city handled the frenzy. Number 7, Austin, Texas. Now we roll into the Lone Star State, straight into Austin, the city that pitched itself as Silicon Valley 2.0. They promised the best of both worlds. Big tech salaries paired with affordable Texas living. Instead, people got California-level home prices with Texas-sized regret. Since peaking in 2022, the median home price has nosedived by 17.3%, landing around $455,000, still wildly out of reach for most local buyers. And the listings? Through the roof. Over 17,600 active homes are sitting on the market, an all-time high, and up another 17.3% from last year. This isn't just a slow market, it's a full-on freeze. Right now, the average home in Austin is sitting unsold for 78 days. Why? Because nobody can afford them. The price-to-income ratio has hit 7.2, meaning homes now cost more than 7 times what the average household earns. That's beyond unaffordable. That's unsustainable. But the housing crash isn't just about falling tech stocks and startup layoffs, though those are already hitting hard. The deeper wound is the commercial real estate collapse. Austin's once buzzing downtown office towers are now echo chambers. Vacancy rates have spiked to a stunning 29.2%, one of the highest in the country. Empty buildings don't just look bad, they drain the city's property tax revenue. And who's stuck footing the bill? You are. With the city's tax base evaporating, homeowners are left to cover the shortfall. Austin residents already face a crushing 1.63% combined property tax rate, one of the steepest in Texas. And it's only going up from here. Picture the Tesla engineer who bought a $1.2 million house just outside the city. He thought he'd made it. Then came the layoff. His stock options? Worthless. His tax bill? Exploding. And the worst part? He's now paying for a downtown that no one even goes to anymore. Austin's old motto used to be, "Keep Austin weird." But now, the weirdest thing is paying $1 million to live in a hollowed-out shell of a tech hub. This isn't just an Austin problem. What we're seeing here is the early stage of a commercial real estate cancer that's spreading across American cities. So, how's your downtown holding up? Are the office towers still alive? Or have they turned into vertical graveyards with for lease signs in every window? Let me know what you're seeing in the comments. Number 6. Phoenix, Arizona. Our journey takes us deeper into the desert, into the endless sprawl of Phoenix, a city built on one bold, dangerous promise. The water will never run out. That illusion? It's already shattered. Over the past year, typical home values in Phoenix have fallen by 4.6%, now hovering around $480,000. But make no mistake, that's not the crash. That's just the first drip in what could become a flood. Inventory in Maricopa County has jumped over 34% year over year, and sellers are hitting the panic button. Phoenix now leads the nation in price cuts, with a jaw-dropping 31.3% of listings slashing their asking prices. Homes are sitting on the market for 67 days on average, and buyers are calling all the shots. But here's the twist. This isn't about inflation, interest rates, or job losses. The villain here isn't economic, it's environmental, it's geology, hydrology, reality. Arizona has now officially stopped approving new housing developments in the Phoenix metro area that rely on groundwater. Why? Because studies show there isn't enough water to sustain demand over the next 100 years. Let that sink in. There isn't enough water. A home is worthless if you can't turn on the tap. And that's the terrifying truth staring Phoenix in the face. The state is already being forced to take 21% less water from the Colorado River, a source that's rapidly drying up. The entire Phoenix housing boom, the dream of affordable space in the desert, the palm trees and pools, is now built on borrowed time. Picture the family who moved here chasing that dream. The big backyard, the glistening pool, the promise of sunshine and square footage. But now, their dream home is becoming a parched liability, a financial anchor in a city that's running on empty. Here's a wild Phoenix stat. The metro area has over 200 golf courses, each one drinking hundreds of thousands of gallons a day just to stay green. They're not recreational spaces. They're shrines to denial, green grass planted in defiance of desert logic. Phoenix isn't just in crisis, it's a warning. It was built on a mirage, and that mirage is now cracking into dust. Water shortages are the ultimate hidden cost, and they're only getting worse. So tell me this. Is your region facing a resource disaster? Droughts, wildfires, floods? What's the biggest environmental threat to home values where you live? Drop it in the comments. Let's talk about what's really fueling the collapse. Number 5. San Francisco, California. We head west now, to the glittering tech capital that once minted billionaires overnight. A city that promised innovation, wealth, and limitless opportunity. Now, it's minting bankruptcies instead. This isn't just a dip. This isn't a cyclical downturn. This is a systemic collapse. Since its peak in May 2022, the median home value in San Francisco has dropped by roughly 15.5%, and forecasts are calling for another 3 to 4.2% decline before we even reach 2026. Inventory is up 20.3% year over year, but the condo market is where the bleeding really begins. In areas like Soma and South Beach, condos are sitting unsold for an average of 79 days. Buyers aren't biting, and sellers are starting to panic. So what's driving the crash? The villain here isn't subtle. It's the commercial real estate doom loop, and in San Francisco, it's reaching critical mass. Office vacancy has soared to an astonishing 34.8%. That means more than one-third of San Francisco's economic core is empty, a financial and social black hole. With fewer workers downtown, tax revenues have collapsed, leading to fewer public services, rising crime, and even more residents heading for the exits. Over 31,000 people have left San Francisco since 2020. But it gets worse. Retail vacancy in the downtown core has exploded to 47.8%. Almost half of the storefronts are empty. Restaurants, shops, cafes, gone. Now imagine this. A young AI engineer bought a $1.5 million condo in 2021, back when the future looked like a straight line upward. But now, his company just went fully remote. His favorite neighborhood cafe? Boarded up? His once bustling block? Feels unsafe. That condo he overpaid for? Now worth less than he owes. And to make matters worse, his HOA fees are spiking because the commercial space on the ground floor is sitting vacant and someone's got to cover the shortfall. Here's a fact that captures the absurdity perfectly. San Francisco has more vacant homes than homeless people. It's a haunting symbol of a city that chased unicorns and forgot about its actual residents. San Francisco is what happens when an entire city's identity becomes a tech stock bubble. And when the bubble pops, it takes everything down with it. And this kind of urban decay, it's not just limited to big coastal cities anymore. It's spreading fast. So tell me, is your downtown showing signs of collapse? Are you seeing empty stores, dark windows, or a city that feels like it's running on fumes? Let me know in the comments. Let's map the damage together. Number 4. New Orleans, Louisiana. We roll into the Big Easy, a city bursting with soul. Jazz in the streets, food that stirs the heart, and festivals that never seem to end. But beneath the music and magic lies a truth this city refuses to face. The financial foundation is rotting from within. The median home sale price has already slipped 5.7% year over year, now hovering around $319,900. Homes are sitting unsold for an agonizing 93 days on average, and almost 1 in 4 listings have already seen price cuts. But honestly, those numbers are a distraction, because the real crisis isn't in the listings, it's in the insurance market. This is no longer just an affordability problem. This is an insurance apocalypse. Here's the hard truth. A home you can't insure, you can't finance. And a home you can't finance is worth nothing to the vast majority of buyers. Homeowners insurance in Louisiana is expected to spike another 27% in 2025, after already jumping 38% the year before. That brings the average annual premium to a staggering $13,937. Yes, nearly $14,000 just to keep your policy. Over 20 insurance companies have already either gone belly up or flat out pulled out of the state. The fallout? Tens of thousands of homeowners are being pushed onto Louisiana Citizens, the state's insurer of last resort, where rates recently spiked by a brutal 63%. Let that sink in. Picture a family in a modest home. They're paying $1,500 a month on the mortgage, and now their insurance bill is over $1,100 a month. Overnight, their total housing costs have nearly doubled. And they're trapped. They can't afford to stay. But they can't sell either, unless the buyer shows up with all cash. No bank is handing out mortgages on homes that can't be insured. Here's a darkly poetic fact about New Orleans. The city's iconic above-ground cemeteries were built because the water table is too high to bury the dead underground. Now, that serves as the perfect metaphor. This city's financial future is underwater too. New Orleans is quickly becoming a landscape of uninsurable homes, properties with no protection, no value, and no exit. And if you think this is just a Gulf Coast problem, think again. This crisis is heading for wildfire zones, for flood-prone suburbs, for tornado corridors. It's not just about hurricanes anymore. It's about climate risk becoming financial ruin. So let me ask you this. Has your insurance premium become your second mortgage? Drop the biggest rate hike you've seen in the comments. And let's shine a light on just how widespread this disaster really is. Number 3, Cape Coral, Florida. We're staying in the Sunshine State. But now we're heading straight into the eye of the storm. Literally. Welcome to Cape Coral, the ground zero of what may be the most dangerous real estate fantasy sold in America today. Marketed as a waterfront paradise with more canals than Venice, this city was pitched to retirees and snowbirds as a sunny, serene escape. But now, it's rapidly turning into a graveyard of abandoned homes and broken promises. Home values are already in freefall. Median sale prices have plunged between 10 and 11.2% year over year, bringing the average down to about $365,000. But don't let that number fool you. That price point is propped up by cash investors scavenging the wreckage. The real story is much darker. Active listings in Lee County are up 22%, and homes are sitting unsold for an excruciating 102 days on average. And here's the kicker. Over 55% of listings have slashed their prices. That's not a correction. That's a collapse in slow motion. So who's to blame? It's not just one thing. It's a three-headed monster, all born in the aftermath of Hurricane Ian. First, the storm itself, a catastrophic event that left billions in damage. Second, the flood of unlicensed contractors and scammers who preyed on desperate homeowners. And third, the most devastating blow of all, the implosion of Florida's insurance market. Homeowners in the state already face the highest insurance premiums in the U.S., with an average of $10,996 per year. But in high-risk zones like Cape Coral, it's even worse. Quotes are coming in at $12,000, $13,000, even $16,000 annually, just to keep your home covered. Big-name insurers like Farmers, Allstate, and Progressive have pulled out entirely, canceling tens of thousands of policies, leaving residents scrambling for coverage or going without. Now imagine this. You bought your dream canal front home in 2021. Your mortgage is $2,000 a month. Your original insurance premium? Just $300. But now, your policy gets dropped. And the only coverage you can find? Costs 4 times as much. $1,200 a month. Your total housing payment just exploded. You're stuck, because no bank is lending on a home that can't be affordably insured. They sold you the dream of waterfront living. What you got instead? A financial waterboarding. This isn't just happening in Cape Coral. Insurance companies across America are pulling the plug, and millions of homeowners are left drowning in premiums, or facing the nightmare of being completely uninsurable. So I want to hear from you. Have you gotten that dreaded non-renewal notice? How much did your insurance jump? Drop your story in the comments. And let's expose how deep this crisis really goes. Number 2, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. We leave behind the wreckage of the Gulf Coast and head east, across Florida's shrinking peninsula, to a city once nicknamed the Venice of America. But here in Fort Lauderdale, the dream isn't just fading, it's drowning. The cracks in the housing market are already showing. Median sale prices are down between 4.9% and 7.3% year over year, dropping to around $510,000 to $512,000. But no one's buying. Homes are now lingering on the market for an outrageous 112 to 127 days, a massive spike from just a year ago. Broward County has almost 10 months' worth of housing supply, the highest inventory level since the 2008 housing collapse. But this time, it's not a credit crisis. It's not even a hurricane. The true villain here is far more subtle and far more permanent. It's the water, and it's coming up from below. This isn't storm surge. This isn't once-a-year flooding. This is what scientists call sunny day flooding, when high tides, especially king tides, push salt water up through the porous limestone ground, flooding streets, driveways, and garages on a cloudless afternoon. Sea level projections for this region show a possible rise of 9 to 24 inches over the next 50 years, putting entire neighborhoods at risk of becoming permanently submerged, not temporarily wet, but forever underwater. Insurance companies know it. That's why the average NFIP flood insurance policy in Broward County is already $563 a year, and rising fast. Now imagine this. A doctor buys a $2 million intracoastal dream home, a modern mansion with glass walls and sleek lines. He planned for hurricanes. He installed backup power. What he didn't plan for? Twice a month, his Tesla sits in 6 inches of brackish salt water, right inside his own garage. His house isn't on the water, it's in the water. That's not waterfront living, that's financial erosion. Here's a strange but telling fact. Fort Lauderdale has more than 50,000 registered yachts. This is a city built for things that float, and that might be the only thing that still makes sense here. They once called it the Venice of America. Soon, it may be the Atlantis of America. Because water? Water doesn't care about your mortgage. So now I'm asking you, is your home sitting in the path of a permanent environmental threat? Rising seas, wildfires, droughts? Tell me in the comments what unstoppable force is reshaping your city. Number 1. Miami, Florida. And now, we've reached the end of the line. Miami, the glittering illusion at the edge of the ocean. This city isn't just another housing bubble, it's the final boss. The poster child for hype-fueled speculation, foreign capital, and a blinding refusal to accept the laws of physics. Every crisis we've seen on this journey, the insurance meltdown, the climate emergency, the affordability collapse, they all collide here in a single, sun-soaked epicenter of financial chaos. The damage is already showing. Median prices for single-family homes are down 4.8% year over year, hovering near $595,000. Condos are faring even worse, down 8.5% in the same time frame. It's officially a buyer's market, with nearly 10 months of supply on the table and homes sitting unsold for 90 days on average. Inventory has exploded, rising 35 to 39% over the past year. But this isn't just a market correction. This is a structural breakdown. The villain? All of it. It's the speculators, who snapped up nearly 1 in every 3 homes, the highest investor share in the entire nation, sending prices into orbit. It's the insurance catastrophe, with premiums now topping an eye-watering $16,823 per year, making Miami the most expensive city in America to insure a home. And it's the final, unescapable threat: sea level rise. Scientists warn that large portions of the city could become unlivable within decades. Property values could fall by 15 to 35% by 2050, purely from flood risk. Now imagine the guy who bought a $3 million penthouse in 2022, riding the crypto boom. His digital fortune? Gone. His insurance bill? Astronomical. And the ocean? Creeping closer to his front door. His property isn't just a liquid. It's submersible. Here's a haunting bit of trivia. Miami has the largest concentration of Art Deco buildings on Earth, elegant monuments to a golden era. But soon, they might be nothing more than decorative reefs. Because Miami? It's not a city. It's a temporary art installation at the water's edge, and the tide is coming in. So there you have it. 10 cities. 10 ticking time bombs. 10 different ways to lose everything. This wasn't just a tour of a housing crash. It was a map of localized disasters, hidden behind polished listings and realtor smiles. They'll keep telling you it's just a soft landing, a mild correction. But you know better now. It's up to you to read between the lines, to protect your family, to recognize the truth behind the for sale sign. This channel is your survival guide. So now, the question that really matters: what is the biggest, most ignored threat to homeownership where you live? Drop it in the comments below. And tell me, what's the biggest lie you were told about the housing market in your hometown?